JoJo's Bizarre Adventure as a show was extremely popular during the 2018 to 2019 anime season, mainly because of all the memes around it. Also because of the success of the Part 5 Golden Wind anime. But where's JoJo now? Well, it's around, but nowhere near its peak. So let's go over how JoJo has stayed culturally relevant for such a long time. But before we do that, let's talk about JoJo's fall off. Well, what do we have here? I already made a video on this topic about a year ago, and let me tell you, it still holds true. Netflix truly did butcher the hype for JoJo. They went, hey, let's rush out this animation so it looks bad. Not to mention, let's also give it a terrible release schedule where it's about 8 months in between each release except for the second and third one. And finally, let's also not release the soundtrack until 8 months after it's already done. It just boggles my mind. I thought this was a good idea. Netflix truly ruined the hype for JoJo. It's insane. Also, not to mention, we didn't have a new part manga-wise being released monthly, so there was a huge content drought for JoJo fans where we just had nothing going on for months. It was truly terrible. When something is popular or big in a society, people usually take inspiration from those works of arts or media that are currently popular. And JoJo is no different from this. JoJo has inspired so many pieces of work, media, to movies, to shows, to games. It's actually crazy. So let's go over a few and ones I particularly like. Number 1, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not a big surprise that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was heavily inspired by JoJo, mainly Part 3 of JoJo, Stardust Crusaders. I mean, from the Egyptian theme to literally the Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards basically being stands, it makes a lot of sense. Not to mention that a lot of the monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! That you have as cards are extremely similar to the stands in JoJo. Number 2, Persona. I mean, are we really surprised that Persona was inspired by JoJo? I mean, Personas and stands are basically the same thing. Like, literally the exact same power system. That's all I have to say. Now, lastly, we're going to talk about Attack on Titan. Now, I wouldn't say Attack on Titan as a manga was directly inspired by JoJo, but the mangaka that created Attack on Titan, something, I can't remember his name right now, that guy was inspired to start making and drawing manga because he was reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and went, yo, I like reading manga, I should make my own. And then that's what he did. The world that me and you live in and JoJo's world are basically one of the same. The only difference is that, JoJo's world has stands and our world doesn't, but basically everything in our world can be cross-referenced over to JoJo. Even just straight up entire places like Italy and the USA, basically the exact same. And not to mention that JoJo constantly references things in our current world, like in Part 9, JoJo and Dragona were jamming out to Dua Lipa and talking about COVID. Stuff that is relevant to our current society. It's one of the reasons why I think JoJo has stayed so popular for so long is because it's referenced everywhere. Everywhere you go, there's a JoJo reference. I'm telling you guys, I'm not insane, trust me. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why I think JoJo's just stayed chugging along for so long is because it's so recognizable and it's basically engraved itself into pop culture in the anime community in general. It's crazy what just simply having named characters or stands that are named after bands or songs that are popular in the West does for a manga. It's crazy.